Every single year, we see the NFL season chew up a segment of its head coaches.
I think he's a heck of a coach, but I think his time potentially may be done there with the Giants.
How about we take a look at the season to come and see if we can identify 10 NFL coaches that'll be fired before the end of the 2025 season. Raheem Morris, Atlanta Falcons. Raheem Morris waited 14 years for his second head coaching shoot, and unfortunately, he might not have much time to hang on to it. Morris inherited a talented, if uneven, Falcons roster, and a major quarterback controversy centered around their big-ticket man in Kirk Cousins and the second-year signal caller Michael Penix Jr., who usurped him last year. The biggest red flag about Morris's actual performance thus far has been the details around game management, particularly the clock. This was put on display in a brutal Week 17 collapse that played a major role in Atlanta missing the postseason. If Morris has more blunders beneath the national spotlight, well, we could see him get pushed out and forced into a coordinator role elsewhere once again. Shane Stiken, Indianapolis Colts. Shane Stiken inherited a rather murky situation in Indy, and to his credit, he managed to keep the Colts competitive in 2024, coaxing just enough moments of competence out of Anthony Richardson and whoever else ended up under center despite a deeply undercooked passing game. Unfortunately, most all of the goodwill earned from that overachieving first year has started to fade out, and now they're heading into the 2025 season without much to show for Stiken's tenure. And with the organization's decision to roll the dice on Daniel Jones, yeah, that Daniel Jones, as a supposed stabilizer. This isn't necessarily about Stiken's playbook. X's and O's wise, he's done a good job. It's all about optics, timing, and, well, volatility. Jim Irsay's patience is starting to wear thin, and in many ways, Stiken is simply on the wrong side of general manager Chris Ballard's seemingly unlimited leash and incompetence. Stiken is not the problem here, but coaches in his spot rarely get the benefit of the doubt. He's caught between a desperate front office and an erratic owner, two forces that tend to crush the middleman. Mike McDaniel, Miami Dolphins. If 2025 brings more of the same that we've seen down in Miami since Mike McDaniel took over, injuries, late season fadeouts, or playoff whimpers, McDaniel could join the long list of brilliant play callers who never quite made the leap to sustainable head coach. His vision of a high-powered, dynamic, and creative offense is very clear. The results? A little less so. It's unfortunately starting to seem like he might be more of a one-trick pony more than anything else. That trick, of course, is speed and space with Tua Tagovailoa pulling the trigger. But designing an offense to work only if your quarterback avoids any contact is not sustainable. That is playing football on eggshells. The aforementioned injuries, of course, have been a huge issue for McDaniel. When Tua plays, McDaniel is 25-16. Without him, the Dolphins are just ordinary. And that's the problem. And it's made all the more severe by his inability to schematically keep Tua out of harm's way. The reality is that at some point, the Dolphins have to evolve beyond the Tua tether. And if they can't find a way to compete in a meaningful way in 2025 and the wheels come off mid-season, well, don't be shocked if McDaniel gets the boot. Kell Moore, New Orleans Saints. Kell Moore has been one of the NFL's favorite next head coach in waiting for what feels like, half a decade. But now that he finally has the job, well, the context couldn't be messier. And you gotta think that he's kicking himself for not jumping at a different opportunity sooner. The Saints are fresh off a very turbulent season that saw Derek Carr ravaged by injuries yet again. And now he's announced his retirement unexpectedly, leaving Moore with a roster full of mismatched pieces and few clear solutions under center. That is not an ideal setup for a first-year coach trying to prove that he is more than just a young offensive mind with a good PR team. Unless Moore can get immediate buy-in from a locker room in flux and get something tangible out of whoever ends up playing quarterback, this could end up being a one-year experiment that flames out fast. Brian Schottenheimer, Dallas Cowboys. Alright, here's a bit of a hot take for you. Brian Schottenheimer is not going to even make a full season as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. That franchise has been spiraling as of late, and this is the season that everything flushes down the tubes entirely. And Schottenheimer will end up being on the wrong side of that. Because, let's be honest, Brian Schottenheimer was not hired to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He was hired to be a convenient, controllable extension of Jerry Jones. Look, that's not a knock on Schottenheimer's decades of NFL experience. It's just cold hard fact, because when your last offensive coordinator stint was as forgettable as Schottenheimer's, it's hard to justify the sleep unless someone upstairs decides that they wanted a yes man. That someone, of course, is Jones, who hasn't truly empowered a strong-willed head coach since Bill Parcells. Furthering the issue for Schottenheimer, the Cowboys aren't exactly built to win now. but their owner just doesn't understand that. This team is wildly uncompetitive for the next year, but Jones has deluded himself into thinking that this move can ascend the Cowboys back to forgotten glory. But the more likely outcome is that they underperform, at least to his standards. Jones gets impatient, and Schottenheimer ends up getting the boot. Brian Daboll, New York Giants. The Brian Daboll experience in New York has been a roller coaster, to say the least. It's not often that a coach wins Coach of the Year and then finds himself on the hot seat 2 seasons later. But then again, it's not often a team wins a playoff game with Daniel Jones, only to immediately fall off a cliff after extending him. Daboll's first season looked like a miracle. The offense hit its limitations, the defense made just enough timely plays, and somehow the Giants stole a postseason win. But the last couple of years have made it all feel like less of a miracle and more of a mirage, as the Giants have been riddled with injuries, regression, and a quarterback situation that has completely unraveled. Now heading into 2025, the Giants are rolling the dice with a 3-headed monster of Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, and Jackson Dart, and hoping for a lightning strike. That wouldn't be such a red flag if this wasn't also a referendum year for Daboll, who is simultaneously trying to reclaim play-calling duties and his reputation. Winston or Wilson may start the season, but Daboll is betting big on the rookie. If Dart doesn't flash early, or if the offense stumbles out the gate again, the Giants could be in line for another overhaul. Daboll is a likable football guy, but likable doesn't keep you employed forever in the NFL. Brian Callahan, Tennessee Titans. On one hand, Brian Callahan was given a shot to be a head coach in Tennessee. The question is, though, did the situation he walked into give him a fair one? Unfortunately for Callahan, Tennessee might not be capable of that. The Titans are a team in transition. With one of the league's most depleted rosters of 2024, they stumbled to a 3-14 finish and were often flat out unwatchable. They landed the #1 overall pick, which of course is a good thing. But on the other side of that coin is the reality that Callahan has to hit a home run with it, and fast. But if Ward stumbles or the team looks just as disjointed as it did last year, it's not going to matter. The Titans' rebuild needs a face. If Callahan can't become that face quickly, well, he may end up being a placeholder for the next regime. Dave Canales, Carolina Panthers. While there were definitely signs of improvement down the stretch of the 2024 NFL season for Carolina, the Panthers still looked like a team light years away from relevance. And while Young's improvement in the back half of the season was a positive sign, the broader offensive picture remained erratic and toothless. Now heading into 2025, the spotlight turns back to Canales. Owner David Tepper is not exactly known for his patience, or for his good sense for that matter, and with another full offseason to build out his vision, there won't be many excuses left on the table. This year is about progress. Measurable, real deal progress. If Young plateaus or if the offense still can't find its footing, Canales could quickly fall out of favor, especially if some of the other rebuilding teams start to flash. The room for error is razor thin in Carolina. Panthers gave him the keys, and now he has to prove that he can drive the thing. But man, it is gonna be uphill. If he can't figure it out and the Panthers regress in any sort of significant way, then well, the tides could quickly turn against Canales. Jonathan Gannon, Arizona Cardinals. After 2 seasons, Jonathan Gannon is the proud owner of a 12-22 record. And, well, there's still no real identity to point to with this Cardinals team. Sure, the defense has improved in flashes, the offense has occasionally shown some spark, but for every step forward, there's like a step or two back. And with Kyler Murray now healthy and surrounded by more talent than he's had in years past, expectations are going to be very real in 2025. The Cardinals have one of the softer schedules in the league and a fan base itching to believe that this thing is finally turning around. If they don't capitalize, if they're still losing winnable games or Murray looks disconnected from the scheme, well, it is going to fall squarely on Ganon. This is one of the trappings of culture setting. Eventually, people stop grading your tone and start grading your win-loss column. Ganon has one last real shot to prove that he's more than a storyteller and that he can actually coach this team to tangible results. If the Cardinals underwhelm again, it's hard to see him getting another year. Zack Taylor, Cincinnati Bengals. Zack Taylor is a tough one to pin down. He coached in a Super Bowl not that long ago, boasts one of the best quarterbacks on earth, and built a locker room that generally believes in him. But look a little closer and the cracks start to show. Through 6 seasons, Taylor is actually under 500, and the Bengals have made just 2 playoff appearances. Of course, he has a bit of a cop-out with Joe Burrow missing some time. I mean, Taylor has no doubt been dealt a difficult hand injury-wise, but this is still a results business. And at a certain point, the Bengals need to start cashing in. He's not on the hottest of seats this season, but if things start slow, it won't take long to warm up in a severe way. But which NFL coaches do you think are going to get fired before the end of 2025? Who do you think we're right on here? Who do you think we're wrong about? Is there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.